If you've ever walked into a room you worked hard to be in and still felt that fear of being exposed, questioned, or not enough, this episode is for you. As I kick off this channel, I've been thinking about what I can present and offer to that one woman who feels unseen and underrepresented. So I wanted to start with a five-part series for emerging women leaders, the kind of support I wish I had earlier in my career, and honestly, still what I want now. Not just about motivation, not just be confident, but real talk and tools and the kind of mentorship we don't always have access to. So we're starting with this episode, episode 1, Imposter Syndrome, why it shows up, why it's not your fault, and how to lead anyway. I'm Lonnie, a nurse turned leadership psychology doctoral student, and my goal is to help emerging women leaders, especially women of color like myself, build confidence, communicate with power, and stop shrinking in rooms they worked hard to enter. So let's get into it. Imposter syndrome is that internal voice that says, I don't really know what I'm doing. I only got here by luck, and someone's going to find out I'm not as capable as they think I am. It's not just self-doubt, it's fear, and I've experienced it over and over again in the past and even in the present. And almost every woman who experiences imposter syndrome is battling the same fear: fear of being exposed, fear of failing publicly, fear of not being enough, fear of being the only one in the room. The fear feels personal, but it's actually common and predictable, especially for women stepping into leadership for the first time. Now, a 2021 study found that imposter syndrome shows up most during transitions. For example, stepping into a new role, joining a new team, starting school, or suddenly being the only woman or the only woman of color in the room. And here's the part nobody tells you. The study showed that strong social support, for example, mentors, peers, and community, significantly reduces imposter feelings and protects mental health. So in other words, this isn't just in your head. The environment matters, and you don't beat imposter syndrome by being tougher. You beat it by refusing to carry it alone. So in case anyone's interested, I will put the information for the study in the description in case you want to read it yourself. I love to do stuff like that. So I don't know if you're interested, but if so, I'll make sure I put it in the description. So I wanted to share two examples of my imposter syndrome moments. One is nursing school. As most of you know, if you are a nurse or know a nurse, you know how competitive and rigorous the program is. It's not easy to get in and it's not easy to graduate. Honestly, I wonder if they have like a filter and they're just trying to shake some of the ones that just aren't gonna make it out. That's how hard it is. But I made it through. I graduated, I took my boards, my NCLEX, and I passed it within my state. It took me 6 months to get a job. That's no longer the case anymore. Again, this was a little over 10 years ago. 6 months is ridiculous. Now in this climate, you can get a job in 6 days. That being said, I got my job. I was excited, very nervous, because I felt like it's different being at school than it will be in an environment where I'm really responsible for patients and having CNAs and stuff come up to me and say, okay, this person, this is wrong with this person, so on and so forth. So I get my new job and I am overwhelmed. I don't feel like I fit in. I don't feel like I'm ready to be a nurse, and there's a lot of fear and uncertainty. I have 3 med errors within like a 3-week period, 2 med errors within like 3 days, okay? And don't worry though, now I don't have, any med errors. I'm a safe nurse, so don't you worry about it. My preceptor, the woman, the other nurse who was training me, came to me and said, is everything okay? What can I do to help you? So on and so forth. Needless to say, I'm a bit of a type A perfectionist personality. So I went outside and I bawled. I sobbed, I cried. I called my now husband, but then boyfriend, and spoke to him at 6 weeks. This was in a 6-week period, the 6-week period. And I just cried and told him, I don't know how I'm going to make it. I don't know. I keep messing up. I don't know what to do. I don't feel like I'm ready. I don't feel like I'm prepared. That was at the 6-week period. That's that. My second example of imposter syndrome is when I started my doctoral program that I'm in now. I'm in my 2nd year, but I started it last year. And I walked into the room with like 17 other amazing women. We have 1 male in our cohort now, from different backgrounds, different experiences, different ethnicities, and these titles that were just so big and grand
some of them, that I'm just looking like, I don't deserve to be here. I'm a meager old nurse. You know what I mean? Not old, excuse me, I'm not old. But I've been a nurse, I've been around for a while, and I'm like, I'm not fit to be here. There was so much imposter syndrome, and still actually what I feel sometimes now. But two things happened to me. One, my advisor, who's my advisor, she told all of us that if we didn't think as directors entering you to the program, like admissions directors, if we didn't think that you deserve to be here, you would not be here. Everything that you submitted and how you've demonstrated yourself proves, it's proof, even if you don't believe it in yourself, that you deserve to be here. Second, I was told this, and I live by this, is to give myself grace and give yourself grace. That all the work that you've put in, if you receive that new role, whether it be in your company or in your community and in school, whatever it is that you show up in a team, if you receive that role, that means someone saw something in you and they said, she can do it. I've seen this. She's capable. And maybe what's happening is you've reached a point that maybe you just haven't had that title or given the chance to prove in your capacity maybe, or that you can live up to that title. But all the work that you've shown prior to that, someone else has seen that already in you. So that's my 2 cents, is to make sure you give yourself grace and to know that you deserve to be in that role. So I say all that to say that feeling like an imposter doesn't mean you're not qualified. It usually means you're expanding into a space you weren't socialized to believe you could belong in. So how do we actually work through it? First, you can lead with curiosity instead of self-judgment. Instead of asking, why am I like this? Ask, what is this moment trying to teach me as a leader? Curiosity interrupts the fear loop and turns it into growth. Second, say it out loud to someone you feel safe with, because silence feeds shame. The study literally showed that people with emotional support, like peers, mentors, and community, experience less anxiety and less self-doubt. Imposter syndrome loses power when it's spoken and not hidden. And third, let's keep receipts, all right? Literally a folder with screenshots of praise, wins, accomplishments, good feedback. When the voice in your head says, you don't deserve to be here, you now have evidence that you do. If this hits home, I want you to drop a fire emoji or a same in the comments. And if you're an emerging woman leader who's done shrinking, make sure you subscribe, hit like, and share it with someone, because this is just episode 1. Now in episode 2, we're talking about why you don't need a title to start leading where you are, and how to own your influence before the promotion, the title, or the recognition. So if you've ever waited for permission to lead, that episode is for you. And remember, you belong in every room you've worked for. I'll see you in the next one.